paid for the catering, and I got my sister here from Florida with my nephew.
There you
and
go.
and I sat down and watched sports, and and that was my gift. That's
Chri-
honestly all I want to do. Just sit
Christmas
down.
is such an NBA day for me. Like I look forward to
Yeah,
Christmas because of all the NBA games.
yeah, it's the best because my family, we're very sports oriented family.
Yeah.
So when the games are on, everybody just comes downstairs and just watches the game and just talk shit and watch the game. That's really it. Like, and it's just the best time. It really is. So yeah, basketball from sun up to sundown. It's the best day. I like it more than Thanksgiving. I really do, and that's saying a lot because I used to love Thanksgiving, but now I don't have to travel on Christmas. I just get to sit at home and watch a big old TV and just eat and enjoy sports. It's the best.
Not traveling is honestly the best. Josh, how's it
Yeah.
going, man? How was your holidays? What you do for the holidays? I feel like I didn't ask you.
Oh, who,
Josh.
me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, we had some famo, man, but it was really just as Dave said, just watching a shit ton of NBA, eating a lot of good food, just chilling. Really, I didn't do much, eh?
For sure, for sure.
How about you? You were you back from Hawaii at that point?
Yeah, I
Were you
came
still
back.
there?
I went to Hawaii, and then I came back the day before Christmas. So I had all of
Yeah.
Christmas to watch all the
Okay.
games. I'm gonna get back into the flow because I didn't watch basketball for like 10 days. So that was,
Yeah.
I needed to get back and watch all the Christmas games. But I'm already recording, so if y'all are good with leaving that in, we can just get started.
Oh, I'm with it, man. Wait, tell me. I want to know
Yeah.
something about Hawaii.
Yes,
Was
please.
that your first time?
Ask me a question. Yeah, it was my first time at Hawaii. It was also my first time on a cruise.
Okay.
But it wasn't an international cruise, so because we went from island to island, so there was no
Mhm.
casino, so that was like kind of bummed me out. But the island itself was beautiful. I mean, you just did like, there's this app on your iPhone called Shaka Guide. If you go to Hawaii, if anyone listening is gonna go to Hawaii anytime soon, this thing Shaka Guide, you just rent a car and then it just is an audio GPS tour of like the different islands, and
Wow.
it was worth it. It takes you to like these little watering holes and like waterfalls under a bridge. It was like really beautiful. So I would definitely recommend this app if you go to Hawaii. It was a good time.
Dude, that sounds fun.
Yeah, we just stopped by different islands and it was interesting for sure.
Right on. Right on.
Anyway, let's get into the Chicago Bulls. We were talking like literally for an hour, almost like half an hour, not consecutively, but with Josh, we were texting about, all right, what should we talk about today? What should the topic
Hmm.
of this episode should be? And Stevie wants to get in on the trade talk, so we were like, all right, we'll do trade talks a little bit later. But I did want to stick to kind of player valuation right now, like.
Hmm.
Are you earning your money is the game I want to play right now with the Bulls roster.
Mm.
Just go top of the roster, down the cap sheet. I have my cap sheet in front of me, the contract situations, and it'll give us a nice gauge going into the trade talks as well. Like, oh, who's earning more, who's maybe a valuable deal that other teams might want. So it'll kind of tie into our future trade talks. But what do you feel about this game we're about to play, Big Dave?
I'm
I
completely
love
with
calling
it.
you Big Dave because of the Twitter handle, but it's weird. That's what I think of. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, please, bro. Like, if it was a problem, I would have told you. It's all good. Everybody calls me Big Dave. It's what I've been since a kid, bro. Trust me.
Perfect.
Y'all good. But yeah, man, I'm with it. Let's do it. Let me yell at some people because yeah, some people are definitely not earning their money. Absolutely.
All right, well, I'll just start with you right off the bat with Otto Porter, $27.2 million this year. Player option, 28.5 next year. Obviously injured and all, but we did see a certain portion of his game. If he comes back to that, if he comes back to last year, is he earning his money, Dave?
Oh, that was the first person who was in my mind when I said I want to yell at some people. No, hell no. He is not earning his money right now. Absolutely not. Now, I understand everybody was excited, including myself, when we made that trade because you saw the talent, the skill. But I remember before the season had started, I did a podcast on this podcast called Bulls Podcast with Marcus and my man Wyatt Black. And we were running down the worst contracts in the NBA, and that was like one of the top two I had was all for the cheapest contract. because the dude, he was not, performing up to that level. He was averaging like 12 or 14 a game or whatever he was averaging. And I couldn't believe that he got that money. But I know the talent that he has. We know the skill that he has. We know he's a 3-and-D guy. We know the IQ. We see that he can shoot. We got all that. But when he got here, and from the first game on, man, I was like, okay, where is he? Where is it going to happen? And, when we did Bulls Outsiders, they told us, because we talked to the Wizards Outsiders when the trade happened. They told us he's gonna do all right in the beginning, and then he's gonna disappear, and then he's gonna get injured. They said that was going to happen, and I mean, that exactly is what has happened with Otto Porter Jr. He showed up early that February month. Oh man, everybody was in love with it. It was great. Ball was moving, looked good. And then when we got him for this season, he came in. He didn't look like he was totally in shape. He didn't look like he was, real acclimated to the team yet. They made him a captain. I still don't know why about that one. But yeah, it was like, okay, I was expecting consistency. I wasn't expecting 24, 25 a game. I was not expecting that, but I was expecting at least, 18 a game, 18-7, 18-8, some nice plays. I expected, to see something more fluid. My offense run a little bit better because he was going to be the guy I thought that would get everybody running, get that motor running for everyone, because I felt he was the highest IQ player on the team, behind and Denzel Valentine is second in my opinion, and Saturansky also. But when he got, what was he averaging? Like 11 points a game?
Yeah.
And his 3-point shooting was just horrific. It was just terrible. And then he went down with the injury. I promise you, if Jabari Parker did anything like he's doing right now, people would be having a fit. Jabari was dropping 16-7, and people were still like, "You're trash. Get out. We hate you." This dude is dropping 11, shooting like 20% from the 3-point line. Something that he does, and everybody's like, "Well, yeah, okay, he's having a tough time, having a tough go of it." No, I ain't about that. 27 mil, 27 mil, and he about to sign for 28. He about to re-up on that 28 real fast, and I'm not mad at him. Get your money. Now, I'm not mad at you, but he is not living up to it yet, and he need to hurry up and get on deck after this All-Star break, man, and perform, because he has not done his job since he's been here.
Man, he's not earning his money, but he is spending his money. We're seeing some videos.
Oh.
I'm not gonna get into my man's personal business.
He's having a good time. Yes, he is.
But 11 points. He's actually really bad from 2. So the 3-point shot, I actually got extremely surprised. I pulled up his stats, 40% right now from 3 this year, but less than 42% from the field, which is just what's kind of. We were telling him to take more threes. If you remember, like in the beginning of the season, the Bulls weren't taking a lot of threes in these games, and that was one of the problems. And it was because Otto wasn't, pulling the trigger, or Zach wasn't putting him in the right spots. Regardless, his play and his injury leads him to be completely undervaluing his contract right now. It's just no one's gonna want him. There's no trade market for him because he is hurt. I don't know if Josh, you want to chime in on this Otto Porter talk, but you can go on to Zach LaVine, $19.5 million too, if you want.
Yeah, I got a little bit upset with the Otto talk too, just to add on to what Big Dave was saying. So when the Bulls made the trade, it was a good trade at the time in terms of Bulls needed a wing, and Bobby Portis was not going to stay because he declined the Bulls' offer. Jabari Parker, that situation was a mess. So at the time, the Porter trade made a little bit of sense. He's a good 3-and-D wing, and that first month of February was with the team. He was so good. The ball movement was good. The spacing was good. Lowry was having it going. Zach LaVine was cooking up. Like, the Bulls looked really good during that stretch. And then he came to training camp this summer, clearly out of shape. He looked slow. He looked sluggish. He looks like he wasn't ready to play basketball, and he clearly wasn't. As you guys both mentioned about the stats, he sucked. He wasn't providing anything near what his contract's worth, and now he's injured, and he's not going to be back for at least another month. So it's a waste of money. He has a player option. He's going to stay with the Bulls next season because, like, who's going to want to chuck him a deal when he hasn't even be able to stay on the court? And it's just another concern that the Bulls have to have this guy stuck on the roster like Felicio, taking up basically
Ugh.
dead money.
All
Dead
right.
money that the Bulls could be using on somebody else.
Can I just at least remind you, because we are hating on Otto Porter, I understand that what's going on here, but can we just take a step back and remember what he did provide last year? I mean, it was
But it
actually
was 20 games.
no,
Like,
it was 15 games, fine, but if you're shooting 49% on 5 attempts a game from 3 and like making plays and having the offense hum 48% from the floor overall, like that's not nothing. 15 games is a decent sample size, and it's like consistent with his good version that we saw in Washington. You know, when he played
Right.
well, it was because he was a slightly worse version than what he was on the Bulls, and we're like, oh, he got traded. He's now improving. He actually might earn this money. So, like, that's the Otto Porter we know. And it's funny because we're going to get to another guy that before this podcast, I was watching Thaddeus Young transition highlights this year versus last year. He looks like he looks like a completely different player last year. I was shocked. I was watching it. Pacers Thaddeus Young transition highlights on Synergy, and he was like galloping, and now he's just like chucking layups off the backboard. I literally
this
was,
old.
oh my god, sorry, I got carried away, but with this Thaddeus
Oh,
Young
no.
thing, Dave, you have any thoughts on Thaddeus?
Yeah, definitely a couple. He's another guy, our other captain of this team.
So 13 million this year, 13.6 next year, and 14.3 guaranteed that third year. Just to clarify.
Oh, goodness. He's another guy who was brought in. I don't think anybody had a big problem with. Everybody was like, okay, yeah, that's a good piece. He's a veteran. We didn't have a veteran at all. We didn't have a veteran that knew how to win at all on our team. And when you're, what are the Bulls? The second youngest team in the league. That you're gonna need veteran, leadership and guys like that on your team to show you how to be a professional. Help these guys out. Maybe contribute, off the bench or start. You can plug them at the 3 or the 4. This is all the stuff we were thinking when we got him because we've seen him all these years and we know the kind of player he has been. The decline happened the minute he put the jersey on. It was crazy. It was crazy. And we're sitting there watching it, and I'm like, who is that? I don't know who that is. Like, I didn't recognize him in the way he was playing. That fast break they ran a couple of days ago, where he basically tried to steal the ball from Kobe White because he was standing right next to Kobe White when they were running with Zach LaVine. That just did it for me. But I expected so much more from him, and it wasn't from points. Like, I didn't expect him to come out here, and be a scoring threat. I didn't even expect 10 points a game or anything like that from him. I just knew he would be a guy you bring in off the bench to fill a spot, to hit a big 3, to play, to get a big steal, to always keep those rotations moving on offense and defense, to let guys know where they had to be, to show guys, to be that guy the young guys can stand behind if it's time to get into it. When they're doing something wrong, he's the one you stand behind because he's the vet. You're like, oh man, I don't like what's going on right here, and you ride with Dad because of that. I ain't seen none of that. I've not seen a drop of that from him. What I've gotten from him, what he did do was come out and complain about his playing time, and then when he got the playing time, you saw him sucking wind out there. He was like, no, I need to come out. Somebody, please, you or the opposing team, call a timeout because I want to get out the game, man. This is ridiculous. And you saw that happening, and then they decreased his minutes some more. So he doesn't even want to be there now. From the minutes that he's played, he doesn't even want to be there on the team anymore. He's the captain. That's crazy to me. But he has not earned his money. I don't think he has. We were sold something else, and I thought I was going to see something else. And I'm getting a guy that I just didn't think I was going to get. Now, I will give him some credit. That there have been games he's been solid in, and it does seem like he's kind of getting it together a little bit more. But he gets the ball and he turns into a black hole all of a sudden when he gets that ball in the post. He's not passing to anybody. He's like, nope, mine, I'm going up, I'm shooting. It's like, no, I don't need you for that. That is not the skill set I need you for. Like, at all. Like, at all, that is not what I need you for. But, yeah, man, it's been frustrating watching him, that development of the team. You've seen it. And he hasn't helped with it, man. And, man, he hasn't been earning his money. I'm going to say that.
Oh man, and anyone who's listening to this podcast or checking this out on YouTube, I have these Thaddeus Young transition Bulls then Pacers highlights up on the screen, and there's this one from a few weeks ago, Thaddeus Young just running and then completely jagging. He missed the entire anyway. That Josh, I know you're just smiling ear to ear hearing all this Thaddeus slander.
Well, you have to listen to one episode of me talk about Thaddeus Young to know I don't like Thaddeus Young, and and lately Thaddeus Young has been okay. Mavericks game was one of his better games. I know he was a big part of that little comeback against Boston, which the Bulls obviously lost. But lately he's struggling to give us some good games with some extended minutes. But what I don't like about that is that he signed for Bulls basically as soon as free agency started, meaning that the Bulls chucked him a ridiculously huge offer that no team was going to give him. Thaddeus Young did not come to the Bulls.
That's highly debatable, Josh. I would say.
Do you think?
I would say yes. He would have got the only thing that the Bulls probably offered, which was probably the biggest reason that Thaddeus chose them, is the fully guaranteed $14 million in the third year. But he was definitely going to get something like this.
Do you think he would have got $41 million though? And given the, do you think he would have been chucked the same offer though? Like I don't see any other team giving him that much money.
Someone,
yeah,
you're just super playback. Oh, it's gone now. All right, we good.
Still?
Dave, you there still?
Yeah.
Oh, Dave. Big Dave. Large Dave. Dave.
Right. Dude, I don't even know what happened.
I'm gonna call him again.
Yeah. Oh, he just left.
No, I kicked him out. I kicked him.
Okay, yeah.
All good.
I was like trying to talk, I hear my voice in the back. I'm like, what?
Yo.
Oh, you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All good. It was echoing hard, and then you cut out, and we were like, what's going on? All right, where were we? We were talking about, Josh, you just mentioned about you think he would have gotten this contract. And then I was like, no,
yes.
the extra thing that the Bulls gave him was that guaranteed $14 million on the third year. I think everyone else was kind of giving him the 2-year deal. Because everyone is trying to go for that 2021 cap space with like all the free agents, and no one was trying to give that $14 million in that year where all the good players are free agents again. Everyone, like, if you go to any team, everyone's kind of waiting for that 2021 year, and even the Bulls to an extent are waiting for that because that's when Lowry's gonna kick in and all that. But they don't have a lot of other money on the books then, so they were willing to give Thaddeus Young to be the veteran for this young squad that money, plus that money's not really hard to move off of if need be. So I think it wasn't like the pay for what he was giving the Pacers last year, and the transition stuff. I know I'm stuck on that, but I pulled the numbers too. 1.22 points per possession in the on transition for the Pacers last year. So that's very good on synergy, 72nd percentile. This year, below average, 0.9, under a point per possession, 18th percentile. So it's like a huge shift, and it kind of summarizes his entire game. He just looks less in shape, less athletic than he did last year. So, man, I think that's probably enough on Thaddeus Young. I did kind of want to go back to Zach LaVine because he was the second guy on the list, 19.5 this year, next year, and that third year. Dave, is he earning his contract?
Oh, absolutely. He's earning his contract. The one play I'm definitely not mad at is Zach LaVine. Because Zach LaVine told you from the beginning what he wanted to be. He wanted to be an all-star. He wanted to be the best player on his team. He wanted to be the leader. He wanted to be all those things. He's had a, kind of a down year, I guess. If you look at the points per game that he's putting up and stuff like that. I expected him, like I said it on this show, like my main goal for him was to lead the league in scoring. Like that was my ultimate goal for Zach LaVine coming in this year. But he's had games where he's had to be basically a superhero for the Bulls to get a victory. You saw the game in Charlotte. Like, he had to be a superhero to get that and make that happen. So that game alone was worth the contract. Like, seriously, that game alone, I was like, yeah, pay that man his money. And his contract is awesome. Like he has a really awesome contract, a really good contract. And so I'm not mad at Zach LaVine at all. We knew what he was, and he is exactly who we thought he was. And then he improved on little things, like his defense got a little bit better. His 3-point shooting got good to the point where he's like, I should be in the 3-point contest. And you're like, legitimately like, yeah, maybe you should. Look at your numbers. You should be in the 3-point contest. I do want him to be more aggressive as far as like going up and dunking on people. I haven't seen a lot of that this year. I've never liked him being a facilitator because he turns the ball over too much in the fourth quarter and in money times. He takes some ill-advised shots, but that's because some of those guys don't want to take those shots. And when he gets the ball, they just kind of stand around and watch him, and they don't want to take those shots. And he's like, well, screw it. I'll take it. You know, like him and Kobe White have that same mentality. Like, oh, y'all don't want to shoot? Okay, we'll bet. This is going up. And yeah, so I'm not mad at Zach LaVine at all. I enjoy. He's one of the bright spots for me on the team. He is.
He also it's a bad cycle though, the thing you're talking about, when Zach LaVine, the other players aren't moving, so LaVine kind of doesn't want to pass, and they also don't do stuff with the ball sometimes, so he's deterred to pass. But sometimes I think when they are, Zach LaVine is the one who's not making the pass, which then discourages them the next play. So then it could get into like this bad cycle of like, okay, if Zach LaVine's hot, obviously it's good, but if he's cold, then there's nothing else to go on a lot of the time, and then the offense stagnates. And then we talk about the offense stagnation. I think a large part of the problem with the offense stagnating is Zach. So like that's the one thing he needs to do better. But like you're saying, it's sometimes he's giving it to everyone and they're not knocking them down, and he's just kind of trying to claw back in. So it's definitely not all on the team's fault, but it's somewhat on Zach. But it's just like 19.5 isn't even a max contract. Like he can become a max type player moving forward, I feel like, because the defense isn't atrocious anymore either, which was always the thing you kind of poked at with him. So anyway, Josh, what do you think about the Zach? Like, we talk about him a lot, but like, talk about him in like a trade perspective. Like, are you trying to, what kind of stuff are you looking for? Are you even looking for Zach trades?
So when the Bulls gave Zach that offer, it was a risk, it was a gamble, because he came off ACL injury, and the 20 or 30 games the Bulls got him for, he was terrible. He shot below 40 from the field. He did have that nice game against Minnesota, which gave us a glimpse of, okay, this dude can actually be something special. And he put in the work. He came back from an injury, and he had a really good last season. And in this season has been the same. He's improved in a lot of areas, including his 3-point shooting, his ability to make that tough shots, what makes him so special, which I love about Zach. In terms of trading him, though, I mean, I can see it happening in the next couple of years just because the team wants to build around Larry Markkinen and Wendell Carter Jr. In order to do that, these two need the touches, and Zach LaVine, I'm not taking anything away from Zach. He's a super talented player, but I don't think he's in the Bulls' future plans in terms of building around him. I think they should aim to build around Markkinen, and the Bulls released at the start of the season the list of untouchable players on the roster, and there were two names, and that was Markkinen and Carter Jr. So that means LaVine is available, and I think if the offer's right, say there's a disgruntled superstar out there, or not even a superstar, just a good player that fits better with Markkinen, fits better with Carter, maybe it be a point guard. Say De'Aaron Fox is just real pissed with Sacramento, just wants to get out, and the Bulls chuck him some crazy offer to the Kings. So something hypothetical like that, but the Bulls, I don't think in the future they want to have Zach LaVine as their number one player. They recognize that, okay, this dude Markkinen, he's pretty good. This dude Carter, he's got all defensive potential. So I'm liking what he's doing with his team now in terms of that go-to scorer. I do think he has a few. I think the expectations that placed upon him are a bit too high, considering he is really just a second or a third option on a really good team. And the thing that I really like is people kind of expect him to be able to facilitate better than he is, but the problem is that he's not a facilitator, he's a scorer. So we can't be expecting Zach to, make these passes, make these plays. And he has improved as a playmaker. His IQ has improved a lot throughout the season compared to last season when he'd be chucking up those contested mid-ranges with 17 on the clock. So his decision-making is getting better. His IQ is getting better. He's becoming a better basketball player. Whether he does stick around this Bulls team in the next few years, I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't place my bets on it. But, I mean, he's done a good job this season. And whether he's an all-star or not, let's get him in the dunk contest.
Yes, get in the dunk contest. Yes, say that again. My goodness.
Wait, since we have you on, Big Dave, do you like Zach as an all-star? Is that just kind of smoke and mirrors? Do you think there's actually legitimacy to it? Because we chatted about this last night too, but I'm just curious what you think.
As of right now, I'd say no. I mean, he has to put together some incredible games. Like he has to put together those 40-point, 50-point performances, and he's got to start doing those like back to back. Like that's what we want to see, and that's how you judge, a guy who you want to be an all-star, especially on a team that's losing. That's why Trae Young is number one. Like even though Trae Young's team only has like 8 wins, Trae Young will put up 39, 8, and 12, and do it on a consistent basis. And you're just super impressed when you see stuff like that. Zach will put up 35 one night, and then the next night is 19. Then the next night is 15, and then the night after that is 28. And there's not enough consistency from him for me to make a valid argument as to why he should be an all-star. I mean, you're averaging your 23 a game. You're shooting your 40% from the three-point line. But then, you're shooting, like 42%? I don't know if I got that right, but I think he's like 42% from the field, shooting like that. And, yeah, and just your team losing does hurt it when you're not playing at, above your head level. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, like out of your head level. Like, you're not playing at that level, so it definitely shows. And
that's why Trae will get in.
Yeah, exactly. Trae's the leading vote getter. Like when they started voting last week or the week before, he was number one. Like there's a reason for that, man, because he's putting on a show. Like we came to see a show.
Yeah, how often are you trending on Twitter is a big kind of indicator. Indicator.
And Trae's getting those highlights too. Like yesterday, hit that really cool move. On MPJ, like Trae's getting those highlights. He's getting the people looking at him. Like people want to vote for Sue. People love his game. Zach, he does get the occasional dunks on House of Highlights and all that, but he's not really the player that gets the same media attention that Trae's getting. Especially because Trae's a second-year player too, and he's playing. He's playing out of his world.
Right. He is. He's definitely playing out of this world, man. And he's leading a team. You know what I'm saying? Like so, all those things come into play. Like you said, and I don't disagree with what you guys saying. Like Zach is a number 2. Like Zach is if he's number 3 on your team's incredible. But Zach is definitely a number 2 guy. But on this team, he has to be the number 1. And I think it's because he's looking around and he's like, who wants it? And nobody is like, well, we don't want it. Nobody's like, we don't want to do it. Well, he's like, okay,
you should attack.
Right. He's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. Like the only time I've seen him the facilitating work was like 2 games. I believe one was against Washington, when I'm watching Wendell Carter Jr. actually roll to the bucket or stand out and take a pick and pop in the fourth quarter. And he was hitting him every time. He was like, boom, here's the ball. Boom, here's the ball. Boom, here's the ball. And Wendell Carter has like hands of stone. So he can't catch a basketball for some reason. And that's become a big problem. Lauri Markkanen is just hanging out by the 3-point line. He's not getting it. Chris, he can't even look at Chris Dunn.
How does Wendell have such good hands on rebounds, but such slippery hands on passes? It's kind of weird.
I think it's his thumb injury. I think it's through that
me
thumb
too.
Injury.
I was literally that's like kind of why I was raised that question, because his thumb injury. Is he still wearing the thumb thing?
Yeah. It seems to be getting more. It's like Denzel's boot. It seems to be getting like bigger every game. Like there's more tape on his hand every game.
Oh, man. All right. We got off track there, but let's get back on track. Satoransky, 9.5 this year, 9.9 next year, and then $10.5 million. Guaranteed again that third year. And it's kind of good that we spent all this time on the top players, because everyone else is kind of like rookies contracts, and obviously everyone's kind of worth their rookie contract. But anyway, Satoransky, let's go right back to you, Big Dave. Like, $9.5 million. It's like it didn't seem like we were overpaying at all for these guys. It seemed like we were paying exact market value, except we gave 3-year deals in a year where no one else was giving it. And so they decided to come here. And I mean, especially after that World Cup too, Satoransky was playing well, and he seemed. I was watching World Cup Satoransky highlights before this as well. I just kind of went down the roster watching some random old highlights to see like why we signed these players to the numbers in the first place. And he also seems like more fit during the World Cup than he does like heading into this season. I don't like that he's saying last year Pacers, like, did people just stop or start eating and then come to the Bulls? It's kind of interesting to me that I kind of noticed the same thing. I think Satoransky is a little bit underrated. I think the contract's not too much anyway, but what do you think, Dave?
you know what? He's exactly who he has been. And so that's why I'm not mad at the contract. Like, honestly, I think he's playing above his contracts slightly. His points are up, his points per games and everything are up. I believe his assists are up because, he's actually starting and doing things like that. And you're right. And I did the same thing you did. I watched a lot of him in the summertime in that World Cup playing. And he was like the best player of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, he was awesome to watch. And I was like, oh, this is the dude we're going to get? We're going to get this guy? Like, the way he was finding his players, you know what I mean? And the IQ was on full display when I was sitting there watching him play. And I was super excited about what he could bring, and especially what he could bring with Lloyd marketing, because it seemed like he's good at finding guys who are cutting to the basket, cutting and slashing. And that's definitely what Zach LaVine is, and that's definitely what Lloyd marketing does. Those guys love to cut and slash. And I just knew he was going to be finding these guys and, hooking them up. No, hasn't been happening. We have not seen it. He has been commonplace. I keep saying, though, that Satoransky, every time I watch him and I see what he does, I'm like, okay, everything I see him do, he can do that off the bench. Honestly. Like, I sit and I look at it, I'm like, yeah, you can do that. I could get 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists off the bench. Like that. Like I watched Chris Dunn do that stuff off the bench last year. And I can see him doing that. Now, I like him. It has nothing to do with me not liking him. I do like him. And I know he can definitely fit in this offense. But, man, like, it's just something not working. It's something not clicking. Like, I need a better point guard to do better things than what he's doing. Like, last game, he had, 11 points and 14 assists. And everybody was over the moon about it. For me, I'm like, I shouldn't be over the moon about it. I should be expecting this. I should be like, damn, this is what he's going to give me. Now, he did play almost 40 minutes to get that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing exactly who I thought he was on Washington, but I did think he was going to be better based on what I saw in the World Cup. So, but I do think he's earning that contract because that's who he was in the league last year. It's exactly who he was.
It's funny, Dave. You said you kind of threw out 8 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists as like the average Satoransky stat line you're expecting. His actual averages are 10 points, 3.8 rebounds, so 4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. So if you round up, you basically got 2 out of the 3 with only 2 points off his actual average. But that's exactly what you're expecting. They just both look a lot less smooth. Honestly, like Thaddeus Young and Satoransky, they just look less smooth on the court. Josh, I know you probably disagree with Big Dave's assessment that Satoransky's living up to the contract.
I do. No. I don't.
I knew his answer, Dave.
I agree. So when you look at Thaddeus Young's, Tomas Satoransky, so what's he earning this season? 9.975 mil. So he's on. It's like a 3-year, 30 mil contract. So to put that into perspective, Corey Joseph is getting 12 mil this season. And so that's like that's a backup point guard, and Sato's a backup point guard. And Sato's getting 9.5 mil, just over 9.5 mil. So if you think about it, what Sato's doing for production for his contract, he's actually doing pretty good for how well the Bulls are paying him. Compared to these other backup point guards, they got paid like really heavily. I'm pretty sure Ish Smith signed a big contract too. So there's dudes out there that got similar deals to Sato, if not more, but aren't getting the same production that he's giving the Bulls. His fit has been okay this season. I think he's getting better over time, especially as a facilitator. He's starting to improve. I know he's starting to get a little two-man game going with Zach LaVine. When Zach's taking those backdoor cuts, we see a few alley-oops, a few dunks nowadays. But I think offensively, that's the biggest concern with Sato, and defensively. First, offensively, in terms of his scoring, you don't know what you're going to get from him every game in terms of, is he going to give you 2 threes or is he going to give you 0 for 5 from 3? Like yesterday, he was 3 for 12 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. So the offensive consistencies aren't there for a dude that's shooting 40% from 3 throughout his career. So you'd like to see that improve. And also the defense, I think what Bulls fans are bought into was that Sato's a 6'7" point guard with long arms, like can like jump, can play defense, he's really athletic. And he struggled a bit on defensive end, specifically on the ball too. On both ends as well. I mean, he hasn't been as bad as advertised, but he has struggled throughout stretches of the season defensively. That's just me talking too.
Yeah, and it's interesting about his defense though. Like, I'm not even really upset about his defense because I never looked at him like a defensive guy. Like, he just was never that to me. I was more upset at the way he was just running the position of point guard. As far like when the team goes on like an 8-0 run, 6-0 run or something like that, your point guard is supposed to be the one who settles everything down and gets it to the guy he needs to get it to. so he can put the ball in the bucket. But that's not what happens. What happens when they go on those runs is they just give it to Zach, and they're like, all right, make it up. Like, do something. And Sato, I need him to be like, no, give me the ball. We running this. Yeah. This is what we're running. I need to see some more command out of him to do that for the Bulls. I haven't seen that this year. And especially in the fourth quarter, I don't know what I'm going to get from him, like you just said. And I don't know if I'm going to get like that good three-point shooting or if he's going to brick a couple of those floaters or what. But he doesn't seem to know where he needs to fit in that fourth quarter when those runs need to be made. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I need him to know those things as the point guard, as a starting point guard of this team. I need him to know that stuff.
He needs to get back to thinking. He needs to get back to thinking he's the best player on the court, like he did this summer. Like, because some players thinking they're the best player on the court leads to selfish behavior and annoyance by everyone else when he's not making shots. But when Satoransky plays like he thinks he's the best player on the court, he dimes people up, and then because people are scared of the pass or like scared of the shot because he can actually knock it down, he can get into the lane and create off the dish or off the oop. Like, he can set other people up if he's on his game. And and clearly, like, anyone who's ever played basketball or in sports, like, when you think you're the best out there, like, you get more confident and do more things. Like, yes,
and absolutely, that's a great point.
100%. And that was like, you could see that in the summer, and now it seems like, I don't know what it is. It seems like Wendell also doesn't have the confidence. It seemed like Lowry sometimes doesn't have the confidence. Is it maybe the coaching staff that's not giving these players the confidence that they need to do what they're doing? You know, like, this is it's so palpable on everyone. Everyone just kind of looks scared out there, besides Zach LaVine, and then that pisses Zach LaVine off. So
yes,
man.
I think too with Zach as well, with the Bulls' fourth quarter struggles. It's almost like Jim Boylan's implemented a picking order when it comes to the fourth quarter in terms of, okay, Zach's first, he gets the first shot, and it's probably like Zach first, Sato second, Lowry, whoever else is out there, and then Wendell. So it's almost like players are shying away from a moment because Jim's saying, Zach's our guy. As Jim says in every post-game interview, Zach's our closer. And he means that in terms of Zach's number one in the picking order in the fourth quarter. He gets the ball. He takes us to the promised land. And I think that does suck for players like Sato because I think he can obviously calm the Bulls down, but he realizes, okay, Zach has to get the ball. He's on the picking order. Like, he's first on the picking order, and Zach wants the ball too. But I think the problem with that, if that is true, there is a picking order in that fourth quarter, like, okay, Zach, you're taking this shot, is that players like Markkanen, they need the ball in their hand to be great. Like, Larry Markkanen needs plays ran through him. The Bulls don't run plays in the fourth quarter. It's Zach LaVine iso ball. Larry Markkanen cannot create his own shot. And I think he's the key to the Bulls' success, to get him going. Me and Christian talk about this a lot. And the Bulls can't expect Larry Markkanen to sit in that corner in that fourth quarter and be great.
Right.
He needs that ball. He needs to be facing up. He needs to be attacking those closeouts. The Bulls they run that nice little play where he'll send an off-ball screen and he'll come up and receive one at the top of the three from Wendell, which always gives him an open three. Like, that's one example of a good play that works for Markkanen. The Bulls need to find more ways to get him not just shooting threes, but get him going to the basket too. We saw today, yesterday in transition against Dallas how good he was at taking it to the basket. So good yesterday. That the Bulls somehow haven't recognized that. And I know that Boylan does recognize that because when Lowry was out there averaging 26 and 13, Jim Boylan was the head coach at that time too. So he saw that. He saw that happening, and yet Larry Markkanen is shooting threes, 7 threes a game, and he's only taking, 3 twos a game. So that needs to be changed. And when it comes to the fourth quarter, he has the ability to take over. When Chris Dunn was leading that team in 17-18, Markkanen was the second option alongside Mirotic, and they were both hitting clutch shots all game. Markkanen was involved in the offense. He was coming off screens. He was running the two-man game of Chris Dunn. It was beautiful to watch. Why is LaVine falling into this little trend of iso ball when you've got this dude sitting in the right-hand side corner, and the only time he's shooting is corner threes? He's never taking it to the basket. He's never running a pick and roll, not even a pick and pop. No plays are run for Markkanen. And that game when the Bulls came back from that big deficit against Washington too a couple of weeks ago, Lowry, I think he had 9 fourth quarter points before they sent it to OT, and he had a couple of threes and one as well. So getting him involved is the secret to this Bulls offense in the fourth quarter going. And I think Satoransky can be influential in that, improving that two-man game of Markkanen, because, I mean, if those two Euros get it going, that can be pretty hard to stop. Same as LaVine, too. LaVine needs to recognize, okay, let's give this Markkanen guy the ball. He's good.
There's so much divisiveness. Sorry, Dave. Just one thing before that. So much divisive language that we're hearing from the Bulls organization. So, like, Zach LaVine, he's our go-to guy and he's going to be that. That's fine. Like, players have their game. But then you add, the leadership council or whatever it's called. You got like,
Oh my god.
these
Leadership committee.
these four
I mean,
people
yes.
these four people are in the leadership committee and everyone else is not. And then you have like untouchable. Oh, Lowry Markkinen and Wendell are untouchable, and all right, so everyone else is what, touchable? And then like
Trade the captain.
and then you talk about like, why isn't Denzel Valentine getting to the game? Oh, because I said so. And like there's just no communication or cohesiveness. Everyone's just separated, and it shows in the play too. All these players are better when they're moving. Like Wendell is an amazing passer playmaker. Satoransky is great when the ball's moving around and isn't when it's not. And it's just Chris Dunn, same way. He's better at drive and kick, on catching off the dribble and types of stuff too. Kobe White's better as a spot up when he gets open. It's just like Thaddeus Young is that way too. This team needs cohesion and playmaking, and everything is just dividing it, and which leads itself to the one flaw in Zach LaVine's game, which is choosing the right shots and being a little bit selfish. I feel like if he was in a system where it was a lot more cohesive, that could be mitigated a little bit. And I'm ranting every time I'm speaking. My bad, guys. Dave.
No, it's beautiful. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I'm over here with my fist pumping. Yeah.
Preach, man. I'm preaching right here. I swear.
You might as well pass the collection plate around, baby. You were preaching out. Absolutely. Absolutely right. And what you just said, honestly, previously about Tomas Satoransky needs to play like he was in the World Cup because he knew he was the best player on the court. That also goes for Lauri Markkinen. Because when I watched Lauri Markkinen a lot overseas, Lauri Markkinen...
Finland tape. Oh, beautiful.
It was beautiful. I mean, a tear came out of my left eye, man. I was just so proud. He knew he was the best player on the court. And he was demanding the ball. He knew where to be. He was taking Dirk fadeaways, man. I lost my mind when I saw him taking Dirk fadeaways.
He was facing up over everybody. It wasn't threes. He was getting the basket. He was shooting mid-range. He barely took threes.
Barely.
It was so good.
He would get it at the three-point line and find his way to the basket and dunk on people. Or like you say, he'd get that mid-range game going. Or he played with his back to the basket. Or he hit the elbow. Like, it was from everywhere on the court. And he was talking to everybody. He was talking trash. Like, he knew he was the best player on the court. And he doesn't play like that here. It's like like you just said, they told him, this is what your order is. This is what you do, and that's what it is. And that's all it has to be. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll play this way because you're an NBA. You guys are in the NBA. You got more experience. Obviously, you won't be in a position to not succeed. Wrong, Lauri. They will. They will put you in that position, man. And it's not succeeding. Now, I'm not putting all this on the coaching, and I never would. Because, again, some of this is on Lauri. And like you said, how Zach has to be looking for Lauri in the fourth. Well, how about Lauri also be trying to get the ball too? Like, Lauri has to be like, hey, man, I need the ball. And I know that's not his. Everybody keeps telling me that's not his nature. That's not true. I saw him do it. I watched him do it.
Yeah,
it's the self-motivation. Satoransky could do it by himself too. Like, put yourself in that mindset.
Right, exactly. And that's what I want him to do. So I don't need him to go stand in the corner. I want him to make himself seen. I love when Lauri realizes he's 7 feet tall. I see him do it at certain moments in the game. In the first quarter or in the second quarter, he'll realize I'm bigger than you. Oh, give me the basketball. Now, there have been plenty of times where he has like JJ Barea on him and they still don't get him the ball, which is why I loved Otto Porter Jr. so much in that February, because he realized, hey, guys, this dude is 7 feet tall with skills, and he'll get fouled if he goes to the line. Like, when he goes in the post, he will get fouled. Does anybody recognize that? Let's clear out this side of the court and let me give him the basketball. I watched Otto Porter do that on 3 occasions, and they'll tell you at the Bulls Outsiders I was losing my mind in the room because he was finally recognizing that stuff. But this is also stuff I need your point guard to recognize. Zach has already shown you that ain't who he is. I'm not going to continue to try to make Zach something he ain't. And they keep trying to make him something he ain't. He's not that dude that facilitated to get everybody involved. That's not who he is, man. Zach LaVine's gonna put the ball in the basket, man. It's like trying to make Melo, like Jason Kidd or something. Like, no, let Melo put the ball in the basket. That's what he does. Let Zach LaVine score. That's what he does, man. But Lauri has to help that also. But his coaches need to help him get there too.
Yes.
Oh man, we're all getting excited here, and I'm
loving this. Talking about marketing, I'm loving this.
No, I'm loving it too. I'm not. It's just I felt the need to take a breath, calm down, move over to a little bit of Felicio. 8 million this year, 7.5 million next year. I had to take a breath first before I got into this topic because I mean we don't really need to spend too much time on it, but it's kind of crazy. I just wanna go to you, Dave, because I feel like I'm one of the few people that still point out like before he signed this contract, like Felicio was like, okay, Felicio, like you can be our backup center, like that's fine. He was catching oops from Wade, also stealing triple doubles from him, but also like,
right.
Switching a little bit more than you'd expect from his size, and you're like, oh, he can just get in shape and maybe improve on that instead of completely diminish that part of his game. And then he was also flashing some mid range. I was like, okay, maybe somehow, some way he can at least be backup center worthy, and I was so wrong. And obviously it was just a dream. But am I crazy for thinking that, Dave?
You know what? No, you're not crazy. And I'm gonna tell you why you're not, because
you.
I saw the same things you were looking at. Like you saw when he would go in and he would just go up strong and dunk on people, and how light he was and how good his hands are. He has really good hands. You give him that ball down there, it doesn't go anywhere, man. He has really good hands, but you saw the lack of his game, like as far as the IQ, as far as, like you said, the range was inconsistent, but just the fact that he knew when to take the shot. Like when he was playing and not thinking, you were like, okay, this dude is okay. But I'm telling you, there's not one moment in my life where I said, give this dude $8 million. There's not one moment in my life I thought that he should get that. Now, I saw improvement in his game, but if he had left, I would have been fine. I would be like, okay, well, Felicio's gone. Like, I wouldn't have lost any sleep. It would have been okay. If they had kept him and had him under an okay contract or something, fine. I wouldn't have been mad at that either. But the minute they said $8 million, and then they said 4 years, I was like, 4 years? For what? Like, and none of that made sense. And and the minute he signed that, he retired.
I've never felt so happy for a player though. Like Felicio just getting a 4-year, $32 million contract. Like think about if you're Felicio and you just are signing that contract. Like for me, it's the most unlikely 4-year extension contract just randomly that I've ever seen.
Listen, let me tell you, I met Felicio at a Bulls charity dinner,
seems happy.
and I mean, he is.
If I had $32 million, I'd be happy.
Dude, he was just every time you just saw him. It wasn't one moment during that dinner he didn't have a smile on his face. That dude was smiling the entire time, and I was like, you know what? If I was getting $8 million a year, to not play, yes, I would be
practicing.
Looking exactly.
If I robbed an NBA front office,
he's hooping.
$32 million, I would be stoked. Like,
right.
I would be the happiest man on this planet, man.
If
I can get paid to sit on the bench and watch NBA every day, I can just get courtside tickets.
Yes.
Courtside tickets, man.
And that's why I think he's earning his contract, because he doesn't need to be out there playing. He's definitely earning his money, man. So go ahead, get your money, Felicio. Get your money, sir.
Well, it's weird because I go into a phase of like, all right, the Bulls just have $8 million less cap space. Like I don't even really think that they're gonna. That's just my mindset now. It's just like we just have this much less, and that's how we're operating for the next 2-3 years. And that's fine because I'm so happy for Felicio. So like I'm not even mad about it. And it's not like we have anything else to spend on. No one else was dying to come here for a max deal or whatever. With the current situation, and we have all these rookies, you don't really have that money to spend. So like in a certain way, it was the least harmful bad contract signed in those like years where bad contracts were being given out, where I think this one was actually 2017 and not 2016, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the rookie contracts, they're all obviously good deals, but we how long have we been going? How long do we have, guys? Dave.
How long do we have until, what was the question?
You busy? You busy, or like should I start wrapping it up, or are you good to go for another 15?
Oh no, I'm good. I was sitting there thinking about Felicio and looking at a message that my producer just sent me, asking me if I was busy to talk, and I was just telling him I'm doing a podcast, and then you asked me a question.
he was probably wondering about Felicio. Anyway, Kobe White, Josh, like, is Kobe? Are you happy with Kobe as your future point guard?
Not as my future point guard, but I'm happy with Kobe on the team. I like his ability to get hot. Not many rookies can do that. Certainly not many rookies that the Bulls have had in the last few years can have the ability to make a couple shots and then they just keep going and keep going. Like when Kobe gets hot, you know about it. He's not going to make 1 or 2 straight. Like he's going to make like 7 or 8 straight. But it's a good part about his game. I think he's got a lot of flaws in terms of his playmaking. I think he may have a bit too much of a green light coming off the bench for the Bulls. Maybe they should be trying to limit his shot team slightly. You don't want to harm his development. You want to see him continue to grow as an offensive player, but I think the Bulls do need to still add that pure point guard that can play with Larry Markkinen. The Bulls need a real PG that can get Larry the ball. And like, if you start Kobe now, like, I don't want to hear anyone say let's start Kobe, because if Larry Markkinen's already getting a career low in field goal attempts, like, what is Kobe White going to do? Larry's going to be sitting in that corner all game long, and it's just the whole game is going to be Levine and Kobe taking turns at chucking up step back threes. That's what the game plan would turn into if Kobe White's starting so far. So I think in terms of like maybe a starting shooting guard going forward, if the Bulls say do end up trading Levine for a point guard in the future, I would be stoked with that. Like I brought up De'Aaron Fox earlier. Could you imagine a backcourt of Fox and Kobe White? Now that would be fun, but very unlikely. I think the Bulls are still looking.
So you're not getting De'Aaron Fox, and if you are, you're giving up like Kobe White and Zach LaVine and like a first rounder. And he would need to want to leave. Like that's how hot the market would be for him. But anyway.
Yeah, so I think the Bulls need like a pure PG type player still, and a small forward too. Like they still have some answers and some holes to fill. I know the front court's sorted. You got Gafford. He's going to be huge. There's no reason Gafford can't even be a starter if like a quality starter in this league one day. And then you got your front court set with Carter Jr. and Markkinen. So the Bulls still have a lot of positions to fill. And obviously the point guard, they still have to address it. You look at the point guards on the roster, and they definitely have a few. Archie's not your long-term starter. Shaq isn't. Okay. Chris Dunn isn't. Who else we have? Setoransky. He's not your long-term point guard. I think that he'll probably end up having a bench role by the time he gets to the third year of his contract. And then who else is there? Like Denzel's not a point guard.
Well, that's the problem. We don't have any
Kobe,
playmakers, and Setoransky. That's why, like, when you talk about trades or the team and like what they're doing, we don't have any real playmakers in the main rotation. Exactly. Denzel is either in or out of the lineup, kind of whatever. He can actually pass, but he can't break his guy down. Setoransky is like by far, and maybe Wendell Carter. Like I don't even know who else can really make plays like that on this squad, which is a huge flaw. But yeah, Big Dave, I thought you were saying something about Kobe.
Yeah, well, I know you say you don't want to hear nobody say you want to see Kobe White start. Well, you about to hear it right now.
Let's go. I love the deferring. I love.
You about to hear it. I would not mind seeing Kobe White start. And now for me, I am not with quelling somebody's growth because of another player. Like if Kobe White is going to come in and he's going to be good for your team, and you're going to see him develop. I can't say, okay, man, go ahead, sit down and wait on the bench because Lauri Markkinen isn't there yet. No, I ain't with. If Kobe White is showing you that he's good enough to be in there, he's good enough to start in the NBA.
Is he good enough yet, though?
Is he good enough to start right now on this Bulls team?
Is he good enough to start over Setoransky at point guard? Do you think he's ready?
Think about
I personally just think he's not ready yet.
The role change. He will be, but if he enters the starting lineup, the role will now change. He's only given this role. I'd argue that him having this role as like the backup scorer, chucker guy that just is green light right when he gets in because he's coming off the bench could be hindering his development of the playmaking and point guard side, which we need more of anyway. Yeah. So go ahead, Dave.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't want to hinder his progress and hinder his kind of growth because he's shown you that he's going to continually get better and figure this game out. This dude loves it. It's what he do. He ball, he hoop, he loves basketball, and he just wants to be great at it. Now, he's not Ben Gordon. This isn't a Ben Gordon situation. We knew what Ben Gordon was. He was a scorer. From the moment he got here, that was it. You knew Ben Gordon was going to put the ball in the basket and not play defense. At least you see Kobe White playing defense. He just doesn't know it yet. It's not because he ain't out there trying. He out there flying around trying to be a better player on both sides of the court because he's learning. He's developing. That's all he's doing right now, man. So I have no problem putting him in the starting lineup and trying to watch him develop. He can develop chemistry with Lauri Markkinen. These things can happen. These aren't definites. He's not in his 6th year, 7th year where you just know exactly the guard that he's going to be. We still don't know. We know he can score. That's what we know about him right now. Like, just like his hair can change, so can his game. Like, dude, we don't know who he is yet, but I know he's exciting, and I know when he's out there, like, things change. He makes things change, man. Like, he's the playmaker. You just say we lack playmakers. Guess what? He is definitely a playmaker. That's what he does, man. So I want Kobe White out there learning, man. Go ahead.
And I think with Kobe too, if I was just thinking about this, I don't know why I was saying take Satoransky out. I think if the Bulls get around their All-Star weekend break and they realize playoffs isn't the goal, we're gonna absolutely push player development. We're gonna have like say Larry Markkinen taking 20 shots a game. Like we're focused on making these dudes better players. So they give up on playoffs and they just prioritize player development. And say Otto Porter isn't back too. I think there's still a chance Otto isn't back before the season ends. Just say Otto's not back. I would not have a problem with Chris Dunn being taken out of the starting lineup, moving Sato to the 3, but he's still your main ball handler, and then playing Kobe with Zach. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But I think if you take Satoransky out and play Dunn with Levine and Kobe, then that's like a recipe for disaster. But I think if you play with Sato, you can keep your offense sorted, keep it calm. I think that might have the ability to work because Sato can, as you said, Dave, Sato can actually put the team back in its offense. Kobe plays really quick, and sometimes that might actually hurt the Bulls when they're trying to get in a half-court set up a play, and Kobe's doing some sonic stuff and going 200 miles an hour up the court. I think maybe over Chris Dunn, I wouldn't mind to see Kobe White starting like soon. Chris Dunn's been pretty flawed this season. I think his defense, his offense is really minuses out his defense because how bad he is offensively. So Chris Dunn, in my opinion, I'm sure we're going to get to him soon. He's almost like Chris Dunn seems to be hurting us on this team. And I know he's playing exceptional defense. He's been so good defensively, but the offense kind of just cancels it out. And plus he fouls a lot too, and that frustrates me as well. The amount of times Chris Dunn's fouling, he got fouled out yesterday. He's been fouled out almost every game this season. And if he's getting the steals, it's fine to foul, but it also can ruin our momentum. I know you said about against the Mavericks, we were down. It was like a 2-point game, and then Chris gave up 2 fouls. The Mavs were on the bonus, and then Luka Doncic started heating up, and he had 21 in the third, and then Chris had to come out of the game, and Shaq came in because Chris was on 5 fouls. So
one thing I wanted to respond to, Josh, before I forget. I just don't see the difference in what you would do with this team if your goal was to develop players or make the playoffs. It's not different. Like the team core, the best players, the best talent is all from the guys you want to develop anyway. Thaddeus Young and Satoransky are only 2 players. Literally everyone else are guys that you need to play because of how good they are and also happen to be young and should develop. So I don't necessarily think developing and I know you're more meaning like, oh, give Kobe more minutes and like get him but giving Lowry 20 shots a game is not a player development goal. That's like, hey, we want to win, so let's get Lowry 20 shots a game. Like that, I feel like those two things aren't different. Starting Kobe is different. You can give me both arguments that he could make the offense run smoother because you're gonna now give the ball to him to make plays instead of to score, which might take the ball out of Zach's ISOs a little bit more, but it won't lead to Kobe ISOs. It'll lead to Kobe trying to make plays because the task is different at hand. But I kind of know what you meant there. Chris Dunn, we probably should just go right into him because Lowry and Wendell, let's not talk about. We're running up on an hour here anyway. What were you saying, though? You were going to respond to my team building thing.
Yeah, so what I meant by that in terms of prioritizing player development, so the Bulls right now, they want to make the playoffs. And in order to do that, you're not going to have Wendell Carter taking 5 threes a game. When you get to that point where you realize, okay, playoffs isn't going to happen, you want to focus on improving your young players' skills that aren't fully developed. So for Wendell, it's his shooting. For Larry, it's his shot making. For Kobe, it's his playmaking. And you can live with the turnovers. You can live with the missed shots as long as they're showing valid improvement. I think that's the stage the Bulls should get to. Say they realize playoffs isn't the goal. We're still a year out from this actually happening.
That should be done today, though. Like Wendell Carter.
But we wouldn't win playing like this.
Wendell Carter taking
Wendell shooting 5 threes a game.
Wendell Carter shooting 5 threes a game. I am completely down for if they are wide freaking open. He should be taking those shots. If he's wide open 5 times a game, he should take 3-pointers. 5 3-pointers. If he's not, then he shouldn't be taking those shots anyway for development or good play. It's for development, you don't want him taking the bad shots. He doesn't get 5 open threes a game right now, and I think if he did, he'd shoot a high enough percentage to where it's worth it. I think Kobe White, if his primary task was making plays, he's shown some flashes of making plays. So I think that's probably best for him to do for this team too. So these things that you just stated that you do for player development, I think are good for winning games today. Dave, let's go back to you.
No, I'm enjoying this.
This is all-time energy for me right now.
I dig it. Chris Dunn, I want Chris Dunn.
Chris
you
Dunn,
know,
yeah, please. Sorry, I'm.
you know,
Pisses me off.
yeah, I'm sitting here with my hands in my head right now as I speak about it. You know, I read the wildest stat. John actually told me the wildest stat about Chris Dunn. Per 48 minutes, Chris Dunn is averaging 7 fouls a game.
That's impressive.
I was speechless.
So how many steals? What's the steal to foul rate? Is it like 3 steals?
Right, probably like three or 5 steals a game, like per 48. 7. He's averaging numbers you can't even do in the NBA. You cannot get 7 fouls. Like, it's impossible, and he's averaging it per 48.
That's crazy.
And the thing that frustrates me too about the Chris Dunn fouling thing is that he wears this Felicio face when he fouls too. Like that wasn't me. I didn't foul him, but he clearly Wendell does it too. I hate that Felicio face, man. And
he's judo chopping cats out there, and he's like, "What do you mean? I didn't do anything." They're standing there with a broken arm, like, dude, yes, this hurts. I didn't do it. I swear. And he's pointing up at the scoreboard, pointing up to the jumbotron, like, yeah, everybody can see it, Chris. We get it. You fouled him. And then it's the type of fouls he takes. Now, there's a difference. Because Wendell Carter, and I remember last year, he would just get bad fouls called on him. And that was kind of happening a little bit this year, too. He would just get bad fouls called on him. Chris Dunn is committing terrible fouls at terrible times. The first thing that comes to mind is when we play OKC, and in that fourth quarter, when Chris went clean off. Do you remember the play when he just said, "Oh, you gonna keep reaching in? Guess what? I'm gonna go ahead and put my arms in and act like I'm shooting this ball." And guess what? 3 free throws right there. Boom. Immediately.
You said Luka too. Luka had like a couple 4-point plays too. Yeah.
Yes, Luka did the same thing all the time, man. Like, he's playing these guys, and I appreciate the way he plays. He plays aggressive. He plays tough. We get that. But it's the fact of the type of fouls that he's making are not good basketball fouls. They are just not smart fouls, reaching in all the time. You know, when guys going up for a clean layup, he's grabbing their arm. When the layup is clean, like, the play is over. Like, let's see if he misses the layup. No, I'm going to yank his arm and see if he fouls him. And then he does it when he has like 3 fouls. He still does it every single time. So his IQ, man, is crazy bad. And
it's the thing with Chris as well. Like, you can't play him when he's on foul trouble because he still plays the exact same way defensively. He's still going to play super aggressive. When he's got 5 fouls, like, you know he's going to get fouled out. He cannot stay in the game playing that same sort of defense. He's got no other way to play defense but aggressively. That's what I like about Shaq. He may not be... He's pretty similar defensively to KD. He might not get as much steals, but he doesn't play as aggressively in terms of reaching in and getting those fouls picked up on him as Chris Dunn does. I think that's like the little difference between KD and Shaq.
That's true indeed, and that's probably why Chris Dunn gets so many steals like he does, because he's great at playing those passing lanes. He's great at one-on-one guarding you up the court when you're backing him down. He's great at timing it and getting that steal. He did it to Luka yesterday. He's great at timing that and getting that steal like that. Now, that's just good defense, but that's not the stuff we have problems with. You know what I'm saying? It's the over-aggression. Yeah. Like I said, it doesn't matter if he's got 1 foul or if he's got 5. He's going to do it the same way. He doesn't think, I need to calm down because maybe they need my defense and they need my steals late in the game. So it is definitely hurting the team down the stretch, because he's not going to give you anything on the offensive end. We already said on that. And why he continues to take wide open 3-pointers, I don't know. There's a reason that you're wide open. I just need him to say, you know what? Let me take 2 steps in. Just take 2 steps in and take that long 2. I would rather him take that shot, only because the percentage is telling me you're terrible from the 3-point line. So go ahead.
The 20s.
Right, the 20s. And he just got to the 20s. Like, he just got there. But I would rather see him, man. Dude, I'd rather see him step in and just shoot a little jump shot, you know what I'm saying, and do it like that. Yeah. That I would be much more okay with him taking that shot than knowing he's going to miss this wide open 3-pointer. And it's not helping the Bulls on the offense, man. Because Zach LaVine, like, he doesn't even look at him, you know, in the fourth quarter. Like, you know, you're playing 4-on-5 on offense sometimes.
Yeah. Impromptu segment, Stat Chat. Chris Dunn, 6.9 fouls per 48, would rank 20th all time or 18th all time, tied for 18th.
All time.
And the only one in the past 10 years that is ahead of him is Mitchell Robinson last year at 7.7 fouls per 48. And then the all-time record is 8.3 by Tree Rollins, 78 Hawks. I'm not even sure who that is, honestly.
I can tell you, Tree Rollins. I know exactly who Tree Rollins is. Tree Rollins was a really good center. He played for the Hawks for a while when they had Dominique Wilkins, and Jordan used to dunk on him often.
Well,
but the guys you're bringing up are centers. Tree Rollins is 7 feet tall. Mitchell Robinson is 7 feet tall.
Yes,
Chris
sir.
Dunn is 6'3". He's a guard. You know what I'm saying? Oh.
And it's all reaching too. They're all shooting fouls, like going for blocks and stuff. You could presume, like a lot of those. Chris Dunn, like, they're not all shooting fouls, they're all reaching fouls, and that's the most concerning thing too. He doesn't know how to play passive defense. Like
that's a
these
good
other
point.
dudes
That's a good ass point.
can play passive defense.
Yeah, passive defense
right.
is not Dunn's thing. I was watching Dunn highlights too. Dunn was the last guy that I was watching highlights before this. I was looking at, so the last point I wanted to make on Chris Dunn is his playmaking. Like, just looking at his assists, they're very easy. The only difficult pass that he is capable of making is when he gets a screen on the right side. He takes the screen and then does the weak side skip pass with like both hands or one hand, but he can't do it to the other side. He can and like all his other assists are kind of just like passes to Zach LaVine, which he kind of holds it, pump fakes, and then shoots it, which isn't a Chris Dunn assist really. So like the plays, he's not a huge playmaker. I think you need more drive and kicks out of him for him to be a better playmaker. But like his operation in the pick and roll isn't like anything special, and he can't shoot, so like the offensive end does struggle a lot. I think you need to be smart in how you use him there, but the defense has been really good and has provided a spark. We are like at like an hour and 10, so I'm gonna cut this here. We had Denzel, Ryan Arcidiacono, all these guys that aren't making too much money anyway, so underpaid, overpaid. It's tough to underplay a minimum contract, so we'll skip those guys.
True indeed.
But Dave, thank you so much for hopping on. Where can people find you?
First of all, fellas, I appreciate y'all having me on. It is always fun. It's my second time on here, and it's so much fun, man. I appreciate it, man. You can definitely find, yes, sir. You can definitely find me on Twitter at Ball Sports, BAWL Sports. You have to say it like Avery Johnson is saying it. Bow Sports. You can find our podcast. We do two of them. One called Bow and one called Bow on Bulls. And that one is strictly for the Chicago Bulls. I do that with my friend Chris. You can check that on our website, Ball Sports, BAWLsports.com. On any platform that you listen to podcasts on, we're definitely there. Chris's Twitter handle is BallSports1. And you can also check us out on Instagram at Ball Sports. And also watch me on NBC Sports Chicago on YouTube doing the Bulls Outsiders with my peoples, John Sabine and Matt Peck, after every Bulls game.
Man, that is a sweet show. I am jealous every time I see the background and all that stuff, right? I'm just doing this from like Twitter Live. My screen is in the background, but you guys have like a dope set and it's a fun show. So I love seeing you guys there. Also that intro though, how dope was it to film that intro?
Oh man, that was so much fun. They told us beforehand that we get to do things with the players. So, I had like 10 things I wanted to do, and John had like 5 things he wanted to do. And then as we got there, we realized we weren't going to be able to do them all because we weren't going to be able to get the players we wanted. And so I had to condense it. So I was like, okay, if I get to do 3 of the things I want to do, then that'd be cool. And then that kind of got condensed. I was like, okay, let me get this one I definitely want. And the one that I definitely wanted to do was what you see me do with Wendell Carter Jr.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why, I just wanted to do it with him. I don't know why. I thought he'd be great for it. So, yeah, meeting him, meeting Zach, meeting Laurie Markkinen, man, and showing him that I actually had his hot sauce that's from Finland. And he looking at me like, how did you get that? And I was like, I got people, Laurie. Shout out to Coach Palo, by the way, for giving me that. Shout out to Coach, man. That's my man, Coach Christian Palotti.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, man, it was a blast just meeting those players, talking to Tomas and talking to Otto Porter Jr. You know what I'm saying?
What were they like? Who do you think was the best player to have a conversation with?
The best one to have a conversation with? That's a great question. The one I had the longest one with was probably Sadaransky. We sat and had a nice conversation because I was sitting there telling him about a talk show I saw him on in his home country. And it was like a guy, I guess he was like their equivalent to like Jimmy Fallon. He was an older guy, and he was on there, and he got to go in there and play ball and shoot on his hoop and everything like that. And he was like, oh, yeah, man, I forgot all about that. I remember doing that. He was like, man, dude, he was like, how did you watch that? I was like, it's on YouTube. I was like, trust me, I didn't understand a word anybody was saying. I was just watching and checking you out, man. But he was great to talk to. Zach LaVine was great to talk to because he actually knew who we were. and was like, he said his father watches our show all the time.
That's
And he was
awesome.
like, yeah, man, we were like, yeah, okay, that's crazy. So it was just the fact, yeah, they were cool to talk to, and who else we spoke? Oh, Felicio and a couple of guys who didn't make the team. We spoke to also, and yeah, just everybody we had a chance to interact with was really nice and really kind, and yeah. But Zach was probably the most outgoing. Like he was the most, I guess, the one who I was like, okay, this dude, it's his team. That's kind of how I felt immediately.
Yeah.
This is Zach's team because that's how he was carrying himself.
Yeah.
At that place. So yeah, and Archie Diacono is a friend of the show. So talk to.
Everyone go check that out. Josh, you got anything to plug?
Nah, man, not much. Working on some Wendell Carter Jr. stuff, so stay tuned for that, I guess.
Stay tuned for that. Hit us up at Bullish Hoops on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube too. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.